And we're back.
We're back for a season 2.
Oh my gosh.
Who would have thought we could do it? And we're back for a special anniversary in a way, right?
Yeah, it's been a while since we recorded a new one. So here we are once again, standing outside of a movie theater, yelling into a cell phone.
And with us we have the lovely Ruolin.
Hello. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah.
We're starting season 2, so we're kicking it off as we did the first season by watching, say it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Hotel Transylvania 4. What?
Dude, is that a joke that we did last time?
It is. It's a callback. But you did it that time.
Right.
I'm stealing your material
a
season later. No one will ever know.
I completely forgot that I did that. All right, cool.
I've listened to it more recently than you, apparently.
I guess so.
Yeah. I'm the biggest fan of our podcast. It was me all along.
So we've seen 2 of these bad boys. So what do we think about the third one? I haven't seen any trailers or anything.
Yeah. Expectations for Hotel Transylvania 3.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, I have no expectations.
So,
I don't know.
I'll be the first person to, defend Return of the Jedi. But the truth is, when you have a trilogy, the second movie addresses all the weaknesses of the first movie.
Yeah.
And then the third movie is just like, who cares? Are we going to make a fourth one? Let's just go for broke. So then the third movie ends up just having a lot of fun.
So what if they
and
went
being
to the beach?
Almost about nothing. And isn't that what they're doing? They're on a cruise, they're at the beach.
Any Adam Sandler movie, too.
Yes.
Is they go to a beach.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, it'll probably be really silly, really fun, and about nothing.
All right, well, we'll see how this one shakes out.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I have a question. Are we in any shape or form attached to any of these characters from the previous 2 movies? Do we have some kind of expectations? Do we want to
I like the character designs a lot.
Yeah,
so
I like the way they move.
I don't know about who they are as people. I don't really care.
Yeah.
The posing is just so stellar.
You know
the staging.
I like the Steve Buscemi werewolf character. He's fun.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a lot of lines, but he's fun.
Yeah, I like the mummy character because he's almost a 2D character in a 3D film.
Yeah.
Because he's all about silhouettes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, if the highlight of the previous 2 movies are all about animation and design and silhouettes and maybe shots and just having silly fun, then I'm pretty sure this one probably will deliver too.
Yeah.
But then if we're saying, characters for story's sake, then I don't know.
Of course not. Gendy is directing this, is that true?
Of course.
Okay. They let him off his leash to make a last season of Samurai Jack, and they said, now come on back and sell your soul a little bit longer.
Yeah, even though we never let you make your movies, we still need you to make ours.
All right, well,
okay.
I think we know what to expect.
Hey, bringing back the old disclaimer. Hey guys, we didn't make this movie, and making movies is hard, and Peoples is working hard on to make this movie. So sorry when we say things about it.
Who am I to talk? I couldn't make a 3D movie like this.
Yeah, it's not as if we've made movies, or have we? Stay tuned. Woo! Okay, but that's something for another time.
See Teen Titans Go in theaters.
Okay.
Now available.
Yeah, it may or may not be our next episode.
Maybe. I don't know. Who's to say?
No, it'll definitely will be. Okay, we're going to the theater.
Right,
see you guys later. And we're back.
All right, thank God, because I have a lot to say and ask you guys.
Yeah, we were really mature this time, and to get a better sound quality, we actually came all the way back to the apartment instead of yelling into this phone in the movie theater parking lot.
Season 2 quality you can expect.
Yeah, so mature.
Like a real podcast.
Oh, man. One thought that I have that's just a really general thought that I've had, whenever we critique these movies, we're always concerned about the story, pretty much. When a movie is bad, when an animated movie is bad especially, it's generally because the story is bad or flawed in some way.
Yeah.
And really, it's never an issue with the animation. Animation animation is put together by people who do this stuff all day and know exactly what they're doing. And, when we do comment on the animation, it's usually just because it's above and beyond. And, it's...
And I'll say, any visual gag in this movie was successful. Any visual gag they did was always got a laugh.
Yeah, I guess in a way when we're critiquing these movies, we're never really critiquing the animators. We're critiquing maybe the writers and maybe the directors. And possibly to an extent the actors, but honestly, even if acting is bad, isn't that kind of the director's fault for not getting the right performance out of that actor, for not letting that actor know what kind of acting was required in that moment?
Yeah, I guess so. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, though. But
we don't.
Yeah,
we don't.
But ultimately, you would point to that.
And then there could be studio notes coming in, messing things up as well, and it could be not the actor, writer, or director's fault. And given that we're creative people, we'd probably tend to side with them over some executive that had a conflicting vision for a film.
I'm fine writing bridges. I'll be honest with that. But no, the animation is usually really good, especially with this. This is an exceptionally well animated film.
Yeah. And writers are always saying that each other are terrible anyway, right? Yeah. That's just a writer thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, the movie itself, Hotel Transylvania 3. Try to keep a spoiler-free review unless you have anything more in general terms to say.
Well, let's go around and just say what we thought about it generally, right? And then I have like a point of discussion later. So first off, I was entertained through and through. I was laughing the whole time. There were all these really fun gags, and every scene had something going on that was attention-grabbing and really fun. And very imaginative.
I liked it all right. I don't love it. Yeah, I think visual gag works, and it's really funny a lot of times. But I can't help but judge a joke by its story value and also whether it's relatable. When it comes to visual gag, definitely. But is it a good timed joke? Is it like relevant? I just feel like a lot of times they fell flat.
Okay, I have a follow-up to that once Lars gives his impression. Because that was exactly what I wanted to talk about.
Ooh. Wow. I liked it a lot. Not only did I find it very funny, but I've come home with a belly full of cartoon goodness, just strong posing and whipping around characters, smear frames, and
Dracula's
just
poses
really
were so
good
much
animation.
fun.
Oh my gosh, yes. As they always are.
Yes.
So that's something that Genndy Tartakovsky brings to these movies that makes them always just a treat for the eyes for me. Mm-hmm. And story-wise, I felt like this movie did better than previous movies in terms of stuff that irritates me, particularly my pet peeve with the series. This movie did a better job with those and actually did some work to redeem previous movies in my eyes. If you've heard our very first episode, you might have a guess as to what I mean, and we'll get more into it later. So I liked it a lot. I felt like everything was very, really working really well. Spoiler reviews start now.
All right, great, Ruolin. I want to follow up with that because you were saying, and so I'm gonna state my thesis, which is that this movie, like I said, was a lot of fun scene to scene. There's a lot of fun visual gags that are really entertaining, but a lot of the time it was a one-off gag and we never see it again. Like Gremlin Air, I thought was really fun, but it was kind of pointless as a scene. There was no reason for them to do that if the Gremlins aren't going to come back or if there's never going to be any callbacks. That's one example out of many. So is it important to keep a story simple, or is it better to have it come back and be a tight narrative? What do you think for kids?
Yeah, I don't really know which way is more important than the other. It's just like personal preference. For little kids, of course they're gonna get so much like visual jokes or gags and they're gonna have like such a fun time watching this. But for me personally, I feel like a lot of time are wasted on irrelevant things and characters that just have no consequences whatsoever. I mean, it might be fun for the moment, but I probably chuckled here and there. Overall, I just felt like it's all over the place and it doesn't really come together as a meaningful thread. Like that dog gag, I agree. Yeah. And then the blob guy where he just like randomly pulled a piece out and then becomes his kid. And then he just pulled another piece out, becomes the kid's dog. That it doesn't really, it doesn't do anything. And like, I don't even know why. And then the whole thread about that family of wolves where the mom and dad, like they're so overwhelmed by their kids and then they finally get a place where they can put their kids there for like a day.
Yeah, kids club.
Like I don't really know what they're trying to say about a marriage, about a family. How does that relate to the the main theme?
It was very funny, but what are they trying to say about family?
Yeah, exactly.
In a movie about family,
it's kind of like all over the place.
I agree, but it is a kids movie. So if you were going to write this to be a kids film, what I mean to say is you can get a movie that's maybe too complex for children if you bring all that stuff back. or maybe in the hands of a narrator. I don't know.
Yeah.
Forget all this.
I mean, I just feel like emotionally it undercuts itself. Like if it is trying to be a heartfelt and very poignant movie, a lot of that jokes really undercuts itself and then make the whole theme kind of felt flat. You're like, okay, this is a very mixed message, and I kind of get it what they're trying to say, but at the end it doesn't bring it together into a crescendo of emotion. So for me, it's
I
just
agree.
like, whatever.
There's something to be said for that Tex Avery, Looney Tunes humor that comes and goes, but I think I would agree that it should all serve a purpose.
Yeah.
Because I think I guess I'm answering my own question. You could probably tell a decent kids film without kind of losing the plot threads on a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. You could probably have it all come together and still be coherent.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. Lars, what do you think?
Uh,
I'm going to flip through paper. If you hear paper, it's because I'm flipping through notes. So
yes,
get used to it.
Nick actually took notes. It's a good thing
Yeah.
that he does, because I didn't do it. I have mixed feelings about it. I think that the answer is that it's conditional. Is a gag funny enough to be worth the loss in story momentum? I think if a gag is funny enough, I'm going to be glad it's in there. And I think if a joke falls flat, I'm going to resent that joke. So, I don't know. I don't think that I can say that there's a hard and fast rule, especially with a movie that's pretty silly like this one. I mean...
But I think you could probably have the gags and move the story forward at the same time. I don't think it's impossible, now that I'm really thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean...
And they didn't really try, I don't think.
Yeah, they have so many different characters. I'm pretty sure if they would have tried harder, they could have found families or characters that are more suitable for the kind of jokes that they wanted to include in to push the message.
Yeah, they had characters that are just legacy characters, and they just put them in there just to have them.
Yeah.
And
which
that-
is an Adam Sandler thing to do, by the way.
Yeah, and it's a problem with sequels, and it's a problem with ensemble casts.
Yeah.
You look at, not a movie, but Dragon Ball Z,
Sure.
you know, and you've got all these characters who are just completely worthless because they're just, power levels just aren't there.
Yeah.
You know, and they make a joke about it in Dragon Ball Z Abridged. They're like, remember in the original series when we used to do stuff? Like, yeah, I mean, it's an issue of any ensemble movie. You know,
Right.
look at Atlantis. For Disney's Atlantis. I mean, good lord.
That movie's wrong for a lot of problems.
Yeah,
That has
yeah.
problems for a lot of reasons.
That movie, like, started my pet peeve against ensemble casts.
Right.
I think this movie does ensemble way better than that movie.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, this has the advantage of being the third one, too.
Yes, it does. The advantage and disadvantage, you know, because you want to give every character an arc, and not every character is getting an arc.
I would argue most characters in this movie didn't get an arc, really.
Yeah, and that's...
The parents got to leave their kids at daycare, and that was their arc, I guess.
Honestly, I was impressed that, you know, Johnny, the human from the first movie, I was impressed that he had anything to do at all in this movie. He barely had anything to do in the second movie.
Dennett, is he the DJ guy? Is he
The
on-
DJ
Yeah,
guy.
the
The DJ
red-
guy.
red
Mavis's
hair.
husband.
Yeah, they could have got him entirely. He didn't, I mean, except for the finale. He was
Yeah,
just there to
yeah.
kind of make jokes.
And the thing was, like, he only even existed in the first movie to be kind of a threat to Dracula
Yes.
because his daughter was attracted to this guy.
Yeah.
And in the second movie, they could have cut him almost. But I do think that another thing is that this movie is really fast-paced. So to me, having those gags didn't hurt the pacing. I didn't feel like, when's the story gonna get moving? I never felt like that. And
I did.
and well, okay.
Well, let's...
And
what do you think?
also, if you cut every joke that didn't have to do with the main plot, the movie'd be half as long.
I agree.
Right, but then you could probably do more with the story or make it more interesting.
Do you feel like this story needed to be more robust? Do you think
I mean,
needed
that's kind of
more
my
twists and turns?
That's my original question. I think that we'll get into it later.
Okay.
But I think the ending could have been a lot more interesting.
I think
Instead
the whole
of like a song battle. Who cares? I've seen it 1,000 times. I don't give a shit. And the music choices were not very interesting.
Yeah.
It was very obvious choices.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to say it wasn't obvious choices because, wow, the Macarena didn't expect somebody to bring that back after 20 years.
As soon as I hear the Macarena, I yawn and get bored. That's just me.
yeah.
I don't know. I was kind of amazed that they're like, that they would have the guts to do it.
Yeah, I wish.
I would say the laziness to do it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of like cutting out all the jokes that are irrelevant, the movie would be half as long. And then I kind of concur with Nick that I wish they had put more effort into putting more effort into the main thread of the story, which is dynamic between Dracula and Erica. Like the whole story is about Dracula and Erica and how they were like struggling with their independent idea and how like they met each other and blah blah blah. But I feel like the whole time, well, Erica said it herself that this whole time she was trying to kill him. But we only saw maybe one montage sequence which lasted like for 1 minute of how she tried to kill him. But then like every time she does something, just like comically he dodges the attack or something.
Very Tex Avery, it's fun.
Yeah, it's that montage that kind of like pushed the idea forward. So we're like, okay, I get it that these are these characters' motivation and how they're struggling with each other. That's about it. The second time I felt like when Erica was trying to like get the family heirloom, quote unquote, and kind of fool Dracula into helping her to get it. That whole time I felt like either the acting and then maybe like some dialogue choices, they didn't establish the fact that she was trying to fool him into dodging the things for her so that it makes her getting the family heirloom easier. And the whole time I just felt like it's very ambiguous. I don't really know exactly if she is trying to get Dracula killed the whole time or she's just getting the heirloom and then Dracula is just trying to save her every step of the way. So I feel like that's very ambiguous and they didn't really try to make the message clear. And I felt like that's a missed opportunity because, you know, we wanted to hone in the idea that, you know, they both have opposite motivations and how they were like opportunistic about it. And Erica should be the one that's like super opportunistic about it. But like, I'm not seeing that.
I agree with generally what you're saying, but I think that scene in particular is where they're kind of falling in love a little bit. They're doing that like death trap tango. The impression I got is that she was into it. They were both into it to get the MacGuffin thing, which by the way never comes back, which I want to talk about later. When do we ever see it again, ever?
Right before the DJ thing, when he opens it up and the scroll of music that activates the Kraken is inside.
But then how come Andy Samberg is able to play different music and not have the MacGuffin idle thing and be able to control it without the thing?
I guess this Kraken just has emotional responses to more than one song in the world. I can tell that you guys are going to be cutting down this movie, and I'm going to be the one defending it, and I'm fine with it.
Okay.
That being said, I do agree with what you were saying earlier, Ruolin. I would have liked to see the conflict within Erica cranked up a little more.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind at all if, you know, we did have the montage where, and by the way, I got to say, like, Dracula strutting. Oh my God.
That was so fun.
I was just so happy watching Dracula strut.
That's the one scene I would
like
cut.
Strutting.
I wouldn't cut.
Oh,
if
man.
it didn't serve the story. It's just so much fun.
And you know what? It did serve the story
Yeah,
because
I
it's
think
her
that
trying to
actually
murder
served
him
the story.
montage.
You're right.
That's a joke that is completely telling the story
I
and
think
making a
it's
joke at the
appropriate,
same time.
yeah.
Okay,
So,
you're right.
I
You're
wish they
absolutely
have
right.
more of that.
Yeah.
Like, I wish they have more like funny montages or like just, you know, Erica trying so hard to try to kill him and the joke is that he just somehow always dodged the attack.
So
Shit. Yeah, you're right.
So here's my suggestion. I'm agreeing with you, but I'm going to suggest rather than adding more scenes of that, during the scenes that are there, we just crank up the conflict within Erica. Every time she's talking to Dracula, she's like reaching into the back of her pants and drawing out a knife and just like, you know, and then Dracula is like, you know, says something charming, you know, he looks like, and then she goes, huh? And like her expression changes, and we cut, and we see her grip on the knife loosen a bit.
So we keep seeing him disarm her.
Yeah,
literally and figuratively.
Yes. Wouldn't that be great if throughout the thing, like she's just like 3.5 times as murderous as she was in this thing, where she's just got this bloodlust that's just falling away all the time and then riling back up and then falling away. That would
Showing
be
her
great.
struggle and turmoil would be so much more effective.
Yeah,
I agree with you guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see there's a lot of her telling that in the movie, but they could show it more.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that the problem fundamentally is, what is this movie trying to say about family? So there's the Dracula and Mavis thing and like them all being a family. Then there's the two Van Helsings who are trying to be a family. And I think they needed to like really push that theme a little bit more. Where like at the end, like maybe they all come together and become a family. Which instead of just like a dance party or whatever they ended up doing.
You know what's funny is I think both of the other Hotel Transylvania movies ended with dance parties. But I think this one actually did the dance party during the climax and then didn't, and then they were done with it.
Oh,
and
that's
so
right.
then they
That's
weren't
right.
dancing over the credits.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, well, okay, so as far as the themes of the movie go,
Yeah.
all right, how many of these movies have you seen? Is this
I think I saw all three of them.
You saw all three of them? Okay, so I'm just do a little recap for the audience. Movie 1 has got this thing about zing, and you can only zing once. And then they're like, oh gosh, well now we need to marry Mavis off to Johnny because she zinged. And you can only zing once. You'll only ever once feel something for another person in a romantic way. And so we got to get Johnny back here no matter what the cost. And then the final dance number for that movie, and when they did in on his dance number, is about the concept of the zing. And I came out of that movie thinking, like, how awful. What a terrible message for children, you know. There are people who meet the person that they're meant to be with in high school and spend the rest of their life with that person, marry their high school sweetheart, and I think that's great. That's beautiful. That's lucky you. But that's not the case for a lot of people. A lot of people have a crush or fall in love and it's unrequited. Yeah. Or they have a crush, they fall in love and things just don't work out for some reason, you know.
And the idea that you only zing once is not a great message at all.
It's like, oh, so if you have a crush on it, you have to make it work no matter what. You know, there are people out there in the world, their first relationship ends up with somebody who's abusive in some way, whether perhaps only on an emotional level, but still, you know, it's just
not the right match.
Yeah, and you know, I thought that was just a really bad idea, you know.
And the idea of a one-sided zing where like Dracula's looking at her and just like, ooh, I want that.
Yeah,
and she's like unaware. That's kind of messed up.
Yeah, weird. And it's you know, and I commended the second movie in our very first episode for what I felt was downplaying this idea of the zing. It was in the first movie, but then in the second movie they were downplaying it a bit.
Yeah,
I thought that was great. And then in this movie, when Dracula has a second zing. Oh, I thought you could only zing once. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Hotel Transylvania thing. Like, you're letting go of this. And they're still, you know, hanging on to certain ideas like this. Like, a zing is never wrong. It's like, oof. You know, sometimes a zing is wrong. There are some people out there who are in, you know, relationships with, you know, malignant narcissists and they need to get out, you know?
Yeah. Or your dad might be trying to kill the guy you're in love with.
Right, yeah.
And you're trying to kill him too.
Yeah. Maybe you just don't feel that way about him and you're fine killing him.
Yeah.
You know, it could happen. It's happened before, somewhere, somehow. But then also in this movie they say it's a monster thing. And I'm like, oh, thank God, this was a magic thing that only has to do with monsters, and it's not necessarily a human thing, which I think they implied in the first movie that it was a human thing, but in this movie they said, it's a monster thing, and it's like love at first sight. And it's like, okay, so now this is a magical phenomenon that's specific to monsters in the universe you've made, so it doesn't necessarily apply to real life, and that relieves so much of the other problems that I had with it. So that was what I meant earlier when I said, not only do I feel a lot better about the way they presented this concept in this movie, but I feel like it redeems further movies. Like, oh, the first person that you date ever, if that doesn't work out, you're not totally screwed. You can find somebody new and connect with them and, you know, great. Thank you, Hotel Transylvania 3, for that.
Okay, I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
Which is kind of the idea of Atlantis. Who built Atlantis? Why is it still function? Did Van Helsing build Atlantis for this tour to capture Dracula, or did Atlantis already exist?
I'm certain, and you're right. This is very strange that Van Helsing would somehow. By the way, can I just say I love that cruise ship? It's the size of a city block and it's 30 stories tall. That thing is hilarious to me. But yeah, the idea that Van Helsing somehow acquired the world's largest cruise ship, the only monster cruise ship ever, and managed to discover Atlantis and create a tourism deal with them. By the way, Van Helsing, no way he built Atlantis. Okay. It's populated by very, very handsome turquoise men. You may have noticed.
I did notice that.
It's sardine people.
Yeah. Well, so the sardine people work on the cruise ship, and I don't know whether they're Atlantean or not. Maybe they are. But once we arrived in Atlantis, and they didn't really
mermans.
Yeah, they never gave them any hero shots. They're always in the background. But they're mermen, and they don't really have fishtails. They're men top to bottom, but they are like turquoise.
So I would assume they're Atlanteans, and then I guess it's funny that, you know, that ancient music parchment had like techno music on it.
Yeah,
I think that's funny. I wish they had explained it more, where it's like, this is the the ancient music of our people to summon the Kraken, and then it's techno. That would have been funny, but they just didn't explain it, which is kind of weak.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of money shots for environment. I feel like disregard what the stories or what the writers has contributed to this movie, but the VSTEV people, holy crap! Like
they went
all
all
all the set pieces are just like amazing. Although I feel like some of the set pieces are like redundant and also like stepping on each other. First they went to Bermuda Triangle, and then they went to the cruise ship, which is like right after another, and then they never mentioned Bermuda Triangle ever again. And they had this giant like crane hero shot of the Bermuda Triangle with like a million ships piled onto each other that serves no purpose to the story whatsoever. And so I just feel like, why? And then we have a lot of like hero shots of characters, like the camera panning through environment where characters are awed by this amazing view over and over again. I feel like sometimes that's a little too much.
They kind of fell in love with their design.
Yeah.
I for some reason I assumed that Atlantis was inside the Bermuda Triangle, but you're right, they introduced that way too early. Anyway, what do you say?
Yeah. I gotta say, that's a really fun and hilarious concept for the Bermuda Triangle, to have a triangle hole in the ocean with a stack of shipwrecks. Like, that's hilarious to me, and
super funny.
And you guys are right, like, it was totally inconsequential
just
to the plot.
Thing, yeah.
It was just they had to fly there to board the cruise ship. You could have easily had the cruise ship pull up to the shores of Transylvania. Maybe Transylvania's landlocked. I don't know geography, but up a river, whatever. You can invent a river. This the whole thing's invented. So yeah, you guys are right. The Bermuda Triangle, not necessarily. The Gremlin Airlines, not necessary.
You could cut that
although
off
the Gremlin Airline is pretty funny,
it's
and
really
I think
fun.
it's a fun idea for
way,
monsters to
but
fly.
bring it back.
Yeah.
Bring it back at the end.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with the idea of gremlins and planes?
Yeah, it's like the William Shatner Twilight Zone thing.
Yeah. It's like in the Twilight Zone, and also I want to say like during World War II there was this idea, and I think it may have been connected to just like not having enough oxygen when you're that high up and you're a pilot. But there were a lot of Air Force guys like back in the day who were talking about there were gremlins. Gremlins are messing up the plane. Oh, why is the plane malfunctioning? It's the gremlins. So that's like a really old joke that's like part of aerial military and service stuff for hundreds of years, or not hundreds of years, but like almost 100. But aviation has been about 100 years in existence. It's one of few American mythologies,
Yes.
This idea of gremlins messing up airplanes. And so then to have these gremlins running their own airline and it being the worst thing.
And them just like tearing it apart.
Yeah, they can't help themselves because they're gremlins. I really enjoid that
Me too.
a lot.
Yeah, that part is
man.
really funny.
I'd say keep it and bring it back. Bring it back. Have them escape through it or something. I think we can, together, the three of us here, I think we can come up with a better idea than just a song battle. And I think that the technology was underused. I thought it was really fun in the beginning where you had like the laser gun and all this other stuff.
Man.
I would have loved to see like a cool magic versus technology, monster versus human battle, all fighting over that stone thing for control of the Kraken, instead of just playing music. How interesting is music? Not very.
Yeah.
I want to see like a Emperor's New Groove style, like fighting over the thing.
Yeah, and also like again going back to the theme, not only did they kind of just like diverge from the whole human family, human monster can fall in love and it's okay to have a family that's made up like a diverse group, but also this whole monster fighting, and Johnny comes in saying like, oh, you want to zen and you want to just feel your feelings, don't worry about
two
stuff.
halves of the whole.
Yeah, and then like the music is that the Johnny is playing those like hipster, like hippie music from the I don't know what era, 70s or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the Kraken is playing bad techno music. So does that say something about the music that reflects people's ideologies in life or whatever? That's something that's kind of like weird as well. Yeah. And so, but then like that reflects Johnny's personality, that he chose these kind of music and he decided that these kind of music are good for your mentality, good for overall attitude toward life. That's why he wins. Or I don't really know.
Guess. And the Kraken, like Dracula has a magic finger that can make the music more powerful. I guess that and we just accept that and roll right on through, huh?
Yeah, that was definitely out of nowhere. And I'll give it to you guys. Even though I didn't hate Johnny's song choices, I did feel like they could have chosen positive style songs with more energy.
I agree.
And you know what really irritated me about the Bad Guys song was that it was always the same song. It was like, here's my song to take over the Kraken. Here comes Johnny with a song. Here's the same Bad Guy song. Here's Johnny with a different song. Here's the bad guy with the same song. And here's Johnny with a different song. And I felt like if you're going to be battling with music, have him adding layers to that music that he's playing, you know.
What if it starts off evil organ music, and then, like, as he's ramping up in intensity, you add, like, techno beats onto it. Over, like, you know, so until by the end, it's like this crazy cacophony.
That would be way better. Yeah.
That's something. That's something.
Because it's like, his counters are the same move he was doing before. And that's not very impressive from any standpoint. But can I just, you guys, I gotta take a little sidestep and talk about Van Helsing, the guy. Not even Erica, but can we just talk about Van Helsing for a minute?
I love him.
Oh my gosh. Like, can we just say, such an improvement for the series to have a villain.
Oh my god.
The first movie doesn't have a villain at all. Like, at no point does anybody run into anything with worse vibes than bigotry.
Right.
You know, the greatest villain of the first movie is Dracula himself.
Yes.
And the lesson he needs to learn.
Which is fine.
You know, second movie, they had...
It's a blur. I don't even remember that.
Second movie is about him spending time with his grandson.
Yes.
And then trying to figure out if the grandson has Dracula blood.
And there is a villain. There is a villain in the second movie because Dracula, his father, who's voiced by Mel Brooks, who didn't have anything to do here in Hotel Transylvania 3.
No, except look sexy.
Yeah, look sexy for those witches.
Yeah.
Yeah, yet another member of the ensemble who becomes pointless.
You could just cut that. You could probably cut all that. It was funny, but you don't need it.
He's their Master Roshi now. He doesn't need to be there. He's just, you know, old, but reverse. He's the one getting perved on.
Right.
So he's a reverse Master Roshi.
Yeah.
But remember in the second movie, he has an ill-defined Batman, Man-Bat character. It's like a monster bat. He has a monster bat that has 100 other monster bats that it commands, and they attack at the end of the movie, you know, and they come out of nowhere, and it's never even explained what they are.
No,
you know?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then they disappear at some point. You know, you never see them again. So
Van Helsing is a great villain. I love their dynamic.
He's great.
The opening scene with them on the train is so funny and perfect. I have nothing to say about that. It's awesome.
When's the last time you saw a laser musket? I'm sure that I've seen one before, but you know, not often enough. And
there's something about that
really
old tiny, like janky copper, you know, like Victorian style technology that I love so much.
A little steampunk
edge
of that happening. Oh man, especially whenever they show like the Van Helsing family traditions, they got all those portraits, super steampunky, like airships happening in some of those old Van Helsing family portraits.
And, like, instead of saying, oh, we need this old relic for some reason that isn't really explained, I think it should be like more technology. I want to see more of that technology.
Yeah.
That's not even like a story point. I just think it would be fun.
I did kind of like, it was a little bit of body horror happening there, but I like Cyborg Van Helsing at the end.
It's a fun idea to replace yourself piece by piece with old-timey tech.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
Not a completely original idea, but something that you don't see often in kids' movies.
No.
Especially his telescoping neck.
Yeah.
So is the entire Van Helsing family line just fighting against Dracula, or just against all monsters
I think
of any kind?
It seems like they just hate Dracula.
Well, it seems like they're definitely focused on Dracula, but they definitely don't say Dracula vampires. They say monsters. Like they're, you know,
And Dracula has to shove his buddies off the train.
Yeah.
Presumably he would have attacked them.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You're right.
So, I feel like I really love the montage of Van Helsing's line of ancestors fighting against Dracula over the generations, and every time they will lose. But I almost wish that they could make it a monster thing instead of just a Dracula thing, because it gives the impression that his whole family is against Dracula himself.
Right.
And then so at the end, when their goal is to find the Atlantis and then blow up the hotel ship and kill all the monsters in it, that makes it feel like now their ambition is more now, or like I wish that they have a clearer message from the beginning and establish a expectation.
Yeah, the fact that we had to ask means that they didn't explain it very, very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like he definitely had it out for all monsters, and the reason that he was obsessed with Dracula was that Dracula was was the champion of the monsters
Yeah.
for centuries and had always thwarted every Van Helsing's attempt to get rid of monsters.
So maybe they can insert a shot of the last time they encountered Dracula defeated Van Helsing for the last time, and then he can like represent all monsters and have this like hero pose in front of like hundreds of other monsters and saying like, you know, I am your champion or something. Like, you know, have that kind of insert that shot and make us understand the dynamic between the villain and all monsters.
So a defeat against Dracula would be a defeat against all monsters.
Yeah.
To Van Helsing anyway. Yeah, that would help explain his motivational villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah. Oh man, and the message of like overcoming your biases and the
I like
bigotry
that.
and stuff. Oh my gosh, could it be more timely?
Right.
Oh
yeah.
man.
Humans, monsters, what's the difference? Well,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Totally, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's just really, it needs to be said these days, you know. I mean, it's kind of the message of the other movies as well. But, you know, I mean, the first movie is kind of about overcoming your own prejudices, you know, and then the second movie is, I don't know what the second movie was. The second movie is being terrified of the prejudices of your family members. And in this movie, this is the first time where the monsters are actually the subject of prejudice.
Yes.
But the message is always the same, and I mean, it's a good message. And
Right. Do you have any more things to say about Erica Van Helsing or Van Helsing as general?
Yes.
I have like one
for
thought.
it.
I just felt like
yeah.
Erica's turning point is not very clear. I wish that she has a stronger turning point that hone in like the idea that, oh, you know, she learned her lesson or she realized something and that she really needs to, what she needed is not what she wanted or something, like learn to become a different person and come out the other side changed or something. Yeah, but I feel like her change is not
Both of them
very
had a 180,
impactful.
basically.
Yeah, and then also I feel like if we wanted to drive home the idea that a monster and a human can be together and their love, their true genuine love can fight all evils in the world or something, then the final battle against Kraken should have something to do with Van Helsing and Dracula team together and fight. But like there is nothing like that. So yeah, I just feel like that's missed opportunity.
Let me pitch an idea. We can all work on this. I want to see either what's her name? What's the daughter's name? Dracula's daughter. I already forgot.
Maeve.
Either the kids or Maeve stumbles upon the plan and finds out that they're at least like a little bit evil or like know there's something going on. And now where Maeve says something to the effect of like, "That's my dad. I'm not going to let you like hurt my family." And she's like, "Holy shit, Dracula! All these monsters have families just like I do. They all have all these connections just like I do." And there's like a little bit of sympathy there. I just think that everyone finding out the master plan at the very, very end is kind of boring and leads to everyone having a 180 at that exact second. Where I think it should be like a little bit more tension and a little bit more back and forth, like we were saying with Erica, like wanting to kill him, but also just this didn't go anywhere.
No,
cut the whole thing out.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Or have the kids and they Van Helsings can't help but love the little adorable kids and the dog.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And also when Mavis finds out about Erica for some reason wants to kill her dad, she didn't know Erica was Van Helsing.
Right.
So like that kind of just take the wind out of the sail. Like it's supposedly a storytelling point where you find out the secret of the drama is that, oh, holy shit, she is Van Helsing and that's why she is trying to get close to the dad and that's why she's actually really trying to kill him. When she finds out about this, that's when it's like the pinnacle of the drama. But she finds out that Erica seems to be trying to kill her dad, but with no reason, and she doesn't know why, and she doesn't know who she is. And then like it kind of gives her a reason to be suspicious of her without the other like force behind that suspicion.
Yes.
And that really takes the wind out of the sail, and that just undercuts the drama a lot.
Okay.
So yeah, I really wish that, like you said, if she finds out who she is, then there could be a lot more tension going on.
So it seems like you have two choices here in terms of storytelling. You can either not reveal to the audience who Erica is and then have Mavis's suspicion be sort of the center of that side of the plot, where we're seeing that and looking at it from Mavis's perspective.
Instead of just not liking her because of her relationship with her dad and like not wanting her dad to be happy. That subplot didn't make any sense. Go ahead.
There are kids who, when one of their parents, due to death or divorce, starts dating again, feel a little threatened.
But that's kind of just the reverse of the original one, where Dracula didn't want her dating, and now she's just doing it to him. So it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying it's like the most original thing in the world. I'm just saying it's unheard of.
Okay, I keep cutting you off, so I'm gonna zip my lips.
I'm good going back and forth. Keeps me paying attention. Keeps me dancing. I think that you're forced to choose, because if you follow Mavis through that, then you're never spending any time seeing things from Erica's perspective. to see things from Erica's perspective, you have to understand where she's coming from, and ultimately throughout the movie she's going to feel far less sympathetic, and you would lose even what they had of watching her be conflicted whether to love Dracula or kill him. And honestly, I wouldn't want to lose that. I wanted more of that, and to have the tension built of Mavis wondering, what's going on? I don't know. I don't trust this girl, versus losing her going back and forth and changing her mind on this. I don't agree with that trade. I wouldn't want to do that.
I feel like we could almost have it both ways if we cut some of the gags out.
I actually have an idea.
Okay, go ahead.
So right now, this movie is about Erica's character development and her change of heart, and then how she learned her lesson, and then like in turn she changed her great grandfather's heart as well. So that's a really interesting character development that I like, and I want to see more of it. But Dracula doesn't necessarily have a character development.
No.
The whole time he fell in love with this Erica lady without knowing who she is, and then toward the end he found out about who she is at the very end, but it doesn't really matter at that point because everybody was like fighting, trying to like survive from the Kraken attack, so who cares who she is anyways, right?
Yeah.
So I almost wanted to see if Mavis find out about who Erica is, and then she becomes his like conscious, and then trying to like tell him, hey, look, this lady is trying to kill you because she is Van Helsing's great granddaughter, and then so she becomes the opposition to his heart, and then like so then that becomes a test for him.
So Dracula's torn between these like the two families.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Dracula
perfect.
needs to learn his lesson as well. He needs to learn, okay, now I'm in love with this woman, but now I learned her true identity. So do I stop loving her because who she is, or do I still want to pursue her, simply because it's true love or something? And then so there could
call into question a zing.
Yeah, and then no, but the thing is, I'm not saying you can only have one Zin. I'm saying like you need to recognize your true feeling, and if you wanted to, and if you think it's worth it, you should act upon it, right? So that's the idea I think that he needs to learn, and so then that becomes two struggles eventually will meet. So basically, Erica would have his character change, and then Dracula would have his character change, and they both have this conflicted feelings toward each other because they knew who they are, but they also have the feeling toward each other, and eventually if they reconcile with each other and then like recognize their love to each other, and they realize that this is all just a big misunderstanding, big like we totally don't have to be opposing each other, we totally don't have to kill each other, we recognize our love to each other, and that's just it. That's the lesson we both learn.
And then that's the finale, like things go out of hand and suddenly they have to work together to stop the Kraken or whatever it is, like escape from Atlantis together. And then Dracula can turn around and tell Mavis, hey, look, you and Johnny got together and I learned my lesson, and now it's your turn to like support me and my new love as well, and that in turn kind of reminded the message from the first movie or whatever. I think that's fucking awesome. That's great because you have like a lot more theme to it. The theme is a lot more coherent. Whereas I don't know what they were trying to say.
And then you can introduce all the drama.
And there's a lot more drama and turmoil and like character conflict within that. I think that's great. And then you can have all the little gags going on too if they really want it. While that's going on. I like that.
No, I'll sign off on those changes. One other idea, as far as changing things and making the movie more interesting. So you got the wolf couple. They overhear Erica and Van Helsing's plans, and they get tranquilized and they get thrown in the closet for the duration of the thing, and they're out of the movie and they aren't brought back until the very end for one gag where they love the peace and quiet of solitary confinement. And okay, so here's the thing. Those characters, they've never had anything to do. They were side characters in the first movie, and now they even have less to do.
They've never had anything.
No, they're just a joke about, they have too many puppies, haha. How about this? Van Helsing that's not who overhears. And I think somebody suggested this earlier, the kids. The kids. Have the kids be the ones overhear them, and then the kids are being held hostage. They're being separated.
I wrote that down.
And they're in the room with Van Helsing. Was this something you were saying?
I wrote it down and I didn't say it out loud, but yes, I think that'd be great.
Okay,
because there's even a scene where the kids and the dog runs down and barks at the door, and there's like they just leave.
Yeah, they just leave.
It seems
went
like
nowhere.
they almost wanted to do what you were just suggesting, and then they chickened out and didn't do it.
Yeah,
So like have Van Helsing kidnap the kids and then eventually kind of be like, oh, they're kind of cute.
Dude, I bet this was a plot that they started animating and then they cut it.
I bet they did.
Because then Van Helsing can be spending time with these children, and he's hunted monsters before, but he's never spent time with child monsters.
And he wouldn't kill a kid.
Yeah, so
He wouldn't
then
know what to do with them.
So that's him softening as he's going there.
Yeah.
You know?
And so,
Okay.
but the plan is carried on because the daughter and father Van Helsings both want to like make each other proud. So even though they're both kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this, they end up at the finale anyway.
Yeah.
Even though they have a change of heart.
Oh man, so here's our replacement for the music battle. So the thingy, the heirloom, the Van Helsing family heirloom, that's actually an Atlantean artifact.
Yeah.
So here's what it actually does. It's, you don't twist it open and there's a scroll of music inside. It's not a music battle at the end. He plugs it into his robot cyborg body.
Yeah.
And it like powers him up, and then he becomes like having psychic control over the Kraken that way.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Kraken like lifts him up and like, shoves him up its nose or
what if the
whatever.
Kraken, or what if the Kraken is mechanical? Like, because Van Helsing's whole family is all
Yeah.
like technology and steampunk stuff, and then that thing is just a control thing that he can just pilot the Kraken.
What if the whole
and
ship
wreak havoc.
transforms into like a Kraken mech? That'd be something.
I mean, you could do that, I mean,
We
there.
don't see the ship again. We don't need it. Have it transform. It'd be
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, there
Or not.
is.
I guess you guys are on board with that.
I think that whether you're talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean or the original Clash of the Titans, a Kraken has sort of always been depicted in American cinema as something that is summoned. So I see why they went where they did with summoned with sound, whether it's a large drum or whatever. So I mean, I see why
but
they.
he's already there when they walk in. He's like
right.
singing to them.
Yeah, no, which by the way, that was so much fun when there's like this, let's do another monster and let's have it like 200 times the scale of the rest of these monsters, and also let's make it just as cartoony.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a real
Yeah, it's some really
treat.
fun expressions.
Yeah.
Tentacle sizes take a lot of liberties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Changing sizes. Like this, sometimes you see the entire, like one tentacle destroying the entire bridge, and sometimes it's just one tentacle grabbing a little tiny bat flying.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the sizes
Yeah.
changes drastically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't bother me, but I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we're coming to something here.
Whether
We're getting
it's
finale.
whether it's mech or whether Van Helsing somehow mechanically becomes the Kraken's brain or whatever.
But that's what the artifact should do. It shouldn't
that's
just be music.
Yeah,
That's kind of,
because the reason that I think that he should be taking over the Kraken that's there is because that makes the magic artifact make more sense. Because if it's a mech, why does he need the artifact?
yeah, you're right. Yeah, psychically controlled is fine.
Yeah.
Or it's just like a
Yeah.
control module
Yeah.
for some
Yeah.
ancient Anlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if the
Atlantean
Van
thing.
Helsing is actually the final boss, that he is the final villain that becomes transformed into like a really big and scary and menacing, and is going to destroy the whole thing. And then maybe Van Helsing, Erica and Dracula work together to disarm him. And then maybe at that time, presumably, if it goes with our idea of like the kids spend some time with Van Helsing when they were being kidnapped,
Yeah.
like somehow the kids went up there and try to defeat Van Helsing, and then like he got reminded how cute they are, how
Or the kids get put into danger, and Van Helsing, without even realizing, just saves them.
Yeah,
And he's
and
like,
then,
maybe I don't hate
his
monsters
heart
after all.
got melted because how cute they are or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then everybody comes down to big happy family.
That seems like such a more coherent
Focused, yeah.
finale.
Yeah.
That's not what we ended up with.
Yeah. I definitely, in my mind, I see maybe, everybody sort of battling and it's like almost a standstill because the Kraken's so powerful. And then Dracula and Erica are fighting each other, and maybe either one gets the opportunity to kill the other one and can't do it.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity. I've always wanted to see this, but it doesn't happen very often. Which is like a fight dance where they're like still doing like the tango thing, but they're still like
Yeah.
clanging swords and stuff.
Oh, and then that would be
Yeah.
bringing back the booby trap
yeah,
sequence.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like they almost kiss and then whooshing.
yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. No, and then at some point, one of them has the other one dead to rights and says, I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And then the other one's like, oh, thank God. I
didn't want to kill you either.
Yeah.
That'd be a cute
Yeah.
moment.
And then she turns against Van Helsing with the rest of them, and she's like, I can't do it. This is crazy what we're doing. This is totally unnecessary. I've been spending all this time on this crusade. Everybody's been super nice to me. Like, this is ridiculous. And then Van Helsing's like, well, I'll come kill you all. And then he's like bringing all the tentacles down at once, and then the kids pop up. And then he's like, damn it. I can't do it either,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
God damn it. That's great.
Yeah.
I knew we could get there.
Yeah, nah. Isn't this the fun thing when we're rewriting other people's movies?
That's what this podcast is about.
That's right, because Nick and Lars and Ruolin have notes.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
That would have been a perfect place to end it, but we do have a trailer report.
Oh, yeah.
Unless we have other stuff to say.
You know what, one other thing I gotta say.
Oh, I have something.
As great as the ending that we just came up with is, it's not the end of the movie. Afterwards, Dracula and Erica are sneaking through the hotel, and you think, oh my gosh, these two are gonna make out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But then Dracula proposes to Erica on the roof.
That was not good.
And I'm just like, you know what? If I
yeah.
wanted to see a marriage proposal out of nowhere at all, I would watch Hayao Miyazaki's Whisper of the Heart.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And also, like, after he proposed, Erica seems really hesitant. I don't really know why. Yeah, that's so cringy.
She got tongue-tied for no reason. She's
Yeah.
never done that before.
Yeah.
She's like, it's not that I don't want to, it's just that this is so cheesy and not earned.
Yeah.
And they've known each other for a week.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
This, like you said, it's not earned, and it doesn't feel.
Yeah, like
good.
even Disney is moving away
Doesn't
from
feel
these animated movie endings.
Yeah.
Like
That's
don't.
kinda
Yeah, so don't do it. It's it's we don't do this anymore.
Yeah.
This is
It's
not how we
very
end,
old-fashioned.
Yeah, we don't end animated movies this way now.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't even, you're right. They didn't even end it with a dance party, which is the traditional way to end it.
Yeah, because they wasted the dance party during their finale, which
Right.
could have been a fight.
I also forgot to mention, I should have mentioned this like top of the episode, but I really don't like Erica's design. I think they could have designed her better.
Oh yes, I agree with you.
Okay, thank you.
Wow,
Lars?
I liked it.
She has like a weird chin.
Yes.
She has like really puffy cheek,
Face,
like
yeah.
like puffy underjaw. She just doesn't look very good to me.
I think she looks good, she's not like, if you were going to say, I want to design a character that's just like total babe, just like super
That's not what I'm saying.
hot, then like you wouldn't land on her design. But like I feel like for her to be a match with Dracula, like just a little bit, for her to be a little bit goofy. I don't know.
I think you could make her goofy, but still come up with something better than what they ended up with.
Yeah, she doesn't appear appealing to me. I think
Which
it's
isn't to say it's super hot. She doesn't have to be super hot.
Yeah, I just feel like her eyes and face shape combo just doesn't work. And then also she is this ambiguous character where in the beginning she appears to be like maybe a little bit evil and really badass, this like all white pantsuit.
Yeah.
But then later on in the movie she's going to soften and eventually change her heart and become a good person.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like her design doesn't allow her to make this transition comfortably. And so I totally believe that she can be this evil or badass woman, but I can't see her being this like nice lady because of her design.
I think costume change probably could have come a little bit.
Yeah,
more
she did
into
have the flowery dress in the middle, like when she went on a fake date.
But
with
I'm
him,
saying like when she's in the submersible spying, maybe
Yeah.
she puts on something black and a little evil.
Well, I think they wanted to go with the white theme for her, which is fine to me.
That's
but-
fine.
Something I noticed when they were doing the booby trap dance sequence was that Dracula was dressed in all black and she was dressed in all white.
Yeah,
I like
so
that.
that's a duality.
Okay, you're right.
It's a real
Yeah.
yin and yang thing there.
Yeah.
So I plus she's a captain. I think her being dressed all in white completely works.
Yeah,
Okay,
makes
I
sense.
take it back.
Yeah.
You're right.
I
Plus
just think it's her face that's like, she's
I
got a
think-
butter face.
Right, which is fine by itself. I think they just could have taken another pass at it.
Yeah.
I think her face is as attractive as Dracula's face is.
I'm not sure about that little chin.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
If she didn't have that little chin, she'd just be like
A round face?
Mavis's shaped head. It's
Yeah.
another
She
thing you
would
want to
be-
distinguish her.
Yeah, I don't know.
On the subject of female character designs, I think it's a shame that at the beginning of the movie Dracula isn't secure enough in his masculinity to hang out with a woman who's physically stronger than he is. talking about Lady Frankenstein on the dance floor at the very beginning of the movie.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Oh, Drac just is he, you know,
He's old-fashioned.
He's you know, hundreds of years old, so I
Yeah.
guess, you know, he just is not comfortable.
Just has a
Who
different-
knows? Maybe we can chalk it up to personality incompatibility, where he thinks she is too over the top or too fiery for his.
She did
Yeah.
come on a little
like,
strong.
Yeah, for his chill and laid back.
Right.
Yeah, I felt like she deserved a mention.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else to
I'm out
say?
of stuff to say.
If you have to assign a score to this, what would you give it?
Oh, I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10.
6.
6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So
I'd give the first one a 6. I'd give this one a 7.
so it's better than the first one.
I haven't seen the first one in a while.
Okay.
The second one was definitely better than the second one. I'm not sure about the first.
Okay. Okay. So you're giving it a 7, but you're saying it's better than previous entries.
I think it's an improvement, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, fine, 6.5 for me. All for the animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Because as much as we can complain about the story definitely wasn't the focus of the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
It's just
Animation
about the
and
goofs.
visual design.
And I think the goofs were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, when you guys were talking about, like, I want more scenes of the drama, I was just, like, honestly, my thought was, like, the people who wrote this movie can't handle that. Like,
No, I understand why they made the
Yeah.
movie that they made.
Yeah.
I'm talking ideal world, and I think that more stakes would have made the jokes even funnier.
yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly, I went into this movie with expectations finely tuned to exactly what was being served up. You know, I've seen the first 2 Hotel Transylvania movies. I've thought about them more than the average person has. Maybe not in this room, but, you know, in the world. Yeah, I expected a whole lot of gags. And actually, I believe I said before the movie, since it's the third movie, I expect even less story and even more gags. That was my expectations going in.
It's
You know,
it's
and-
a summer vacation story. Like,
Right.
What are you really
right.
expecting?
Yeah. So then when we got kind of, you know, this little parable about overcoming your prejudices, as they all do, honestly, I thought there was going to be no parable in this movie. I thought that was going to be glossed over. So that was a pleasant surprise for me. I came out of this movie with more story than I thought I was going to get. And I was thinking like 10 out of 10. But this is season 2, Lars.
Yeah.
And I need to be more critical of these movies, and we've come up with stuff. We've come up with some story points that are maybe a little better.
Maybe,
you know,
yeah.
like, which means that there was room for improvement in this movie. You know, so after talking it over with you guys, being a more mature movie reviewer, you guys have talked me down to a 9 out of 10.
Lars. Like, here's the thing, man. Like, when I was watching it,
Okay.
I was if you would ask me midway through a laugh, I would have said 10 out of 10. This movie's perfect because it's super fun. And I was laughing the entire time, and I was just having a great time. But when you step out of the theater, you got to be a little bit more critical. So I'm glad you went all the way down to a 9.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the
Thank
thing
you.
is, like, a lot of movie we're giving really high scores is because they have a message that, like, makes us feel really good about life, about hope and everything. And then so it's a feeling that lingers. But this movie, I have to say, some of the jokes works, but then it doesn't really have a lingering feeling.
Oh, it's very forgettable.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's just I just feel like I don't feel like wanting to be a better person because of this movie. I don't feel like, you know, life is more full of hope because of this movie. Like, I just don't really have a whole lot of feeling toward
And a
it.
little bit more turmoil and themes about family could have gone a long way.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
could walked out of
Like,
it.
it's no Coco.
It's no, yeah. Coco had such a great
Oh
message.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Coco's like an amazing movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're not talking
yeah.
about Coco. We didn't even
course.
review Coco.
I don't think I would have that much to
I
say.
think we all the 10 out of 10, right?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, you know. But yeah, for this Hotel Transylvania 3, I got more story than I bargained for. I got better messaging than I bargained for. They managed to not offend me with their zing stuff, and
They actually improved it,
They
yeah.
actually redeemed some of their zing stuff from previous movies, and I was laughing the whole time. And you know, yeah, for me it was a lot better. But you guys are right. Coming out of the movie, you know, yeah, like, it's not a super lasting feeling. You know, the last thing they left us on was this cheesy proposal.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but no, I stand by my number. Stand by my number.
Stick with 9, huh?
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah. Which was, you know, where are we at? 7, 9, and 6.5.
Yeah.
What does that make? Ruolin, you've been doing math more than we have.
22.5.
Very, very
Jeez,
nice.
wow.
Wait a minute, that can't be
22?
right. 22.5.
Are you writing
9
them up?
plus 7 is
So-
16 plus 6.5.
So then we would divide by 3 to get
Oh,
7.5.
divided by 3.
Oh, okay.
7.5.
All right.
Okay, rad.
I
So
think
7.5 on the average for Hotel Transylvania 3 from this review podcast.
I've been trying to look up the medic. Oh, here we go. 54 and 6.1.
All right.
So the critics are a little less forgiving than we are, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
users are closer at least.
Yeah. Well, you know, critics they tend to you know,
They thrive on
Like,
yeah.
criticizing people.
The
So
thing is,
mean.
like-
Who would do such a thing?
Like, now I'm going to defend the movie a little bit. Like, what's not to like about it?
Yeah.
Why would you give it a 53? It's better than that.
I like that the Invisible Man and Invisible Woman do a take to the camera at the end.
Yeah,
You're
they-
like, oh man,
Yeah.
that's only funny once, but they did it one time and it was right at the end. It was great.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess we finished reviewing that movie. Does that mean that it's time for
The trailer report.
Nick's trailer report?
Oh, right. So we got Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet here. And this trailer did not raise my spirits very high. I don't think they learned anything from the Emoji Movie or Ready Player One or whatever.
Yeah.
Because there's product placement all over it. The princess scene was not effective. That, like, hot take on princesses, Disney. No one's ever talked about that before, except when he did Enchanted, which is a really good movie.
I just think that the whole internet thing is treading on thin ice.
Yeah.
Like, because like when she says, I wanted to go to a website that's super nuts and crazy, then I'm like, oh, there are a million ways that
Internet's
can go
for porn,
horribly
my
wrong.
friend.
Yeah.
And then he says, I only found one thing, and it's the Disney website. And it's like, good
Wow,
lord.
it's Disney. Great
It's
job,
a Disney
guys.
movie that's a commercial for everything, but especially Disney.
That was upsetting. There was not a lot of creativity in that, unlike the first one, which was pretty. At least I'd say.
I loved the first one because in the first one, when you have all these video game character cameos, you're paying to get all those characters. You're licensing, you know, Zangief and, you know,
Yeah.
all these characters. Like in this, you're not paying to use Qbert. You're getting paid to put Google on there in a master shot in big letters,
Oh my
you know?
There's nothing that upsets me more than seeing fucking like Amazon or whatever. Or
Yeah,
Google
Twitter.
just in the back. Yeah. There's nothing that takes me out of the movie
man.
quicker.
Yeah, and that's becomes a little bit of tone deaf in today's society when social media becomes so toxic and they're promoting this whole thing. So it seems
It comes across
little
very
dangerous.
cynical. It comes across
Yeah.
like unnecessarily money grabbing. You could do a knockoff brand and it could be a funny internet joke, but to do a real product just takes all the air out of it.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see, I guess. Maybe it's a really good story, but it seems like it's just trending towards funny gags.
Yeah.
Which I hope it isn't just that.
I hope it's good. I'm still gonna go watch it.
I probably will too.
Yeah.
The next one was, I believe, called Wonderland with Jack Black as a warlock.
No,
Based-
that's
Oh, no.
the house with the clock in the walls.
House of
Yeah,
Wonders.
yeah. You're thinking of
Wonderland is
Wonder
the animated.
Park is the animated, yeah.
Oh, I just wrote Wonderland, Why? And then that's the only note I took for it, so I just
Yeah.
melded into the
Yeah.
next one. What was
It's-
Wonderland again?
Wonder-
So,
Park.
so the
Wonder Park.
movie's called Wonder Park, and it's about a theme park called Wonderland. That was confusing in the
Yeah.
trailer.
Right.
Like, welcome to Wonderland, kids, and then it's called Wonder Park.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was the really
Right.
weird animated one with no story.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also, if it is already animated, anything could happen because in animated world we have a different expectation. We have different rules going in. So how can this animated world be any more wonderful than any other animated movie?
you could do the Spirited Away thing and keep it really grounded and then go crazy with it.
Yeah.
But it's harder in CG.
It does look like super boring Spirited Away.
Yeah.
You know, like if a really unimaginative person watched Spirited Away,
What
says,
if a
what
kid
if it was
found a
about
theme
a theme
park?
park?
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot. That's pretty thin. Let's blow past that one.
I'm
Let's
not.
talk about Jack Black as a warlock.
Oh man.
It looked okay. The CG was pretty bad, but
It's the kind of movie, like, I've seen trailers for that one before, and I would really like to see it if it was free, but MoviePass apparently, like, doesn't let us see movies anymore. Or at least, you know, today for Hotel Transylvania 3, the only showtime, which I know is incorrect, at our local theater was for 3 a.m. So...
They are purposely making it hard for people to use it now.
Yeah,
for
today's the
probably
first
obvious
time...
reasons, right?
Yeah.
Today's the first time in a long time that we paid for a movie ticket.
Yeah, probably
While
of a
still
bummer.
having Movie Pass,
Yeah.
technically.
you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I
But
heard they're
back
not doing
to
well.
Jack Black as a warlock.
Yeah.
Yes, Jack Black is a warlock.
I don't know. It seems so much CG that it
And
just
bad
becomes
CG
like
too.
and then kind of story.
It's probably not going to be very good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move past it. I think Smallfoot is ill-advised. I already saw a trailer for it.
Oh, yeah.
And it just seems like some executive came up with it and said, all right, let's get a director, let's get some people to animate it. Got this great idea.
It's Warner Animation Group, right?
I think
It's this
so.
people who brought us Storks.
No, wait, Warner?
Maybe. It looked like Hotel Transylvania designs.
Right.
I don't think it's Sony.
No.
It does
Yeah, you're
look
right.
like
It looks
Hotel
like Sony,
Transylvania.
It's
but it may
Warner
not be.
Animation.
Yeah, like their eyes are even taller, if anything. But yes,
Yeah.
they would fit in.
Did Sony do Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
Yes.
Okay, it looks like those designs too.
Yeah, I think Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, amazing movie, sort of started the trend of a more cartoony
Which I
design.
am super happy with.
Oh yeah, no, it's great.
We got Alpha, which I don't know, it could be good. It's like that Stone Age one about the first man and dog.
Yeah.
The trailer looked awful, but I just read a book about the Stone Age and the evolution of man, and I thought it was really interesting. So I would like to see a story set in ancient prehistory.
Yeah.
It just didn't look like a very good movie.
Yeah, I think I'd just rather watch Oscar-nominated short film Adam and a Dog again.
That's right. Yeah, that was really good. I'll just watch that. You're right.
Yeah, just watch that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
They're making another Goosebumps.
Yeah, Goosebumps 2.
It's for kids, but
Dude, where did they find like teenage actors who look like they're just pulled right out of the 90s?
I don't know.
Like
Must be outfits.
yeah, I guess it is. The outfits, maybe the
The-
haircuts.
yeah,
they
the
don't look like
beginning-
they're from the real world.
Yeah, the beginning of the trailer reminds me of It. That part of it when they went into the haunted house. It's almost exactly like that. The
Yeah.
vibe and everything.
Yeah. I wish they'd stop beating around the bush and coming up with all these sorts of R.L. Stein stuff together and just do an Escape from Horrorland movie. Have you guys read that?
No.
It's so good. It's just like a haunted theme park that has all sorts of spooky ghouls. I had it. It was an interactive game too for the PC, which was like one of the first games I ever played, and it has a special place in my heart. And I want to see a movie based on it. There's like a slide you go down. It was a choose your own adventure book too, and you slide down a slide forever, and it's just like a trap. I don't know. There's all sorts of cool creative stuff you can do with
I
it.
read one or two Choose Your Own Adventure Goosebumps books.
They're the best.
It's so funny because Goosebumps books, they're like real. Any Goosebumps book would be like a real horror movie for children.
It's goofy and campy, but it's spooky too.
Yeah,
it has
like-
it's very whimsical.
some of them are more spooky than others, you know?
They're definitely not leaning into that with the movies.
No,
they're
with-
going goofy.
Yeah, the movies are going super goofy, and it's funny because the first movie, it seemed like, well, this is the only one of these we're ever going to do, so let's get every single Goosebumps movie monster in here, and now
they're doing it for
getting
number two,
now
too.
they're getting a sequel, so it's like, oh, that again.
I want to see like a focused R.L. Stein reimagined as like super scary.
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be
yeah,
cool?
it would be. It would be. I read so many Goosebumps books when I was a kid. The one that I thought was the most scary was the very first Goosebumps book, and maybe that was because that was the first one I read, and so the youngest I ever was when I read one.
Which one was that?
Welcome to Dead House.
Okay, that's just a haunted house style.
It's just they're just ghosts. Just some people are dead.
sweet, short and sweet to the point.
Yeah, yeah. And then I
Ghosts.
remember I think like number 19 had like some mud monsters, and the mud monsters appear for like half of one paragraph very toward the very end of the book, and the rest of the thing is like people pranking each other and like
That's what all those young
You know,
adult books were like.
it's these two guys and they're at a summer camp and they're trying to get the better of this one girl who pranks them successfully, and they always fail to prank her, and their final prank is ruined because the mud monsters they've been talking about for the whole book show up and they go and they run away, and then that last prank failed too. The end of book. It's like the most anticlimactic thing. Like it feels like a ripoff when you're reading it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not a good idea to be adapting these Goosebumps books.
Well, maybe just not that one.
Maybe not. Okay.
Although these aren't even adaptations. These are like, hey, we took all of these monsters out of these books
Right.
and threw them into a slurry and then just spray them over the audience.
It's more of a Jumanji style, throw everything together. Which it's something. I assume the first movie wasn't very good, but I was gonna say there's a potential of it being interesting, but probably not.
Yeah, we didn't watch the first one.
No.
I think our notes for a Goosebumps movie is like pick one story and make a scary story spare.
I think trying to mix mash them is not. I think that's not as smart.
Yeah, it's like a parody. It's like what if Goosebumps?
What if?
Yeah.
What if R.L. Stein?
Yep.
All right, that's all I had to say about that.
Okay. Yeah, is that all the trailers?
I think so, yeah. I think we ended up having a pretty nice finale to Hotel Transylvania 3 that I think was a pretty good improvement. What do you guys think?
I definitely hope that this is the finale and that they don't make any more.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really need to see any more Hotel
Yeah.
Transylvania.
Yeah.
No,
Stop.
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Maybe let Andy Tartakovsky make some of the movies he wanted to make.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Anyway, yeah, what's our next episode? I think might just be Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'll be a special episode for reasons that we'll reveal during that episode.
Yes.
So yeah. But yeah, see you guys later. Thanks for listening to the podcast.
Yeah. We're going to start season 2, so expect a lot more.
And remember, we lava you.
We do lava you. Goodbye,
Oh,
everyone.
wow. Still remember that.